All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to become pro fast at Survive Bikini Bottom. Welcome to the ultimate beginner's guide. Let's get it. First up, we have a giveaway, guys, to anybody who likes, subscribes, and comments down there below their Roblox username. I'm going to be giving away the exclusive class at 1,000 likes on this video. That's going to also give you 750 doubloons, which is going to be enough for you to also get the other best class in the game, GG Rock. So you're going to be getting this one, and I believe you could also probably buy the Doodle Bandit too. All right. And that leads me to my first part of the guide. Obviously, there's pay-to-win game passes, classes and stuff. However, my biggest recommendation is for you guys to focus on classes that are going to improve your combat, because that's how you're going to die. Classes that can heal you. I personally use the Doctor. And other than that, I really recommend that you have everybody in your party a different class. That brings me to my next tip. This game is so much easier, guys, with multiple players. Okay, solo is 10 times harder. So bring friends. You can bring a total of up to 5 people. That brings me to my next tip, guys. You can hide at night in any building, okay? It doesn't have to be in your base. All right, here's a clip of me staring down the sea bear. All right, so there's no need to be there. All right, just hide in as well. However, there is another tip, and that is arrows can go through walls. So if you guys see the enemies that have arrows, I'm not really sure if I have a clip of that right now. There's enemies that shoot arrows, and let's just say you're gonna be cooked. All right, which brings me to my next tip. You see that item I picked up just there? Those are bandages, all right? And I personally use the healer class, so they're really good for me. However, bandages are busted OP. They don't take long to apply, and they're gonna heal you up fast. Which brings me to my next tip, and that is this hunger bar right here. You guys need to stay stocked up on food. Now, the nice thing is you can just run around and press the E button whenever you hover over food. And that's basically going to allow you to like speed run eating food. So keep that in mind. You see, you can just hover the E, and look at that, guys. I barely got any health from that food. So you guys are always going to be basically needing food. So food is a constant battle. Which brings me to my next tip, guys. There is actually 3 levels of backpacks. This is the medium level backpack, and do I have one at the beginning? This is the beginner level backpack, and there's even a bigger one. If you guys want to get a better backpack, you guys basically just need to talk to the mailman. All right, do I have a picture of the mailman? I don't right now. 1 second. Yeah. So basically just talk to the mailman. You guys can kind of see he's right here. His quests are very easy to complete. These items, I'm not going to lie, are so easy. And he's going to give you a lot of cool stuff. However, the problem with the mailman is he's only going to offer you a choice of like 3 different options. All right. So for example, here, you only get one of them. Now, in my experience, flashlights are really easy to come by. I don't really like the flashlights. So I would recommend either the backpack or the net. Okay. On your first pick. And I believe there's other picks as well you guys can get too. And again, all of these items are pretty easy to find. This one right here, I can usually find in like dumpsters and whatnot. So that one's a pretty easy one to find. Which brings me to my next tip. You guys are going to want to speed run getting workbench tier 3. And this down here, guys, the Quickster pad is busted OP. Like, I'll show you. So what happens is you're going to touch the Quickster pad, and then look at this, guys. You can basically fly all over the map. And let's just say this makes the game a lot easier, but be very careful, because whenever I did this, that's how I died on my wave 152 run. I just got like absolutely clapped. Because you can just run into these guys, and these guys right here are really crazy. Which brings me on to my next tip. Every single enemy in the entire game has a pattern of attack. So if you can memorize the pattern, you are going to be absolutely golden. All right, take for example this chum bucket right here. You guys can see he punches, and then there's a whole cooldown, guys. And then you're gonna see he's about to wind up again before he dies. All right. And those are the arrows I was talking about earlier. Those can go through walls. So keep that in mind as well. And every time you see one of these chests, those are the chests that have the key to the next area. So you're going to want to have, usually I like to have one player distract the enemy and then the other player open the chest. So maybe you want to have somebody that might have this armor. So there's 2 types of armor in this game. Okay. There's this armor, and then there's the anti-ghost armor, which I should have on. I might not have a clip of it. Let me think. Do I have one earlier in here? But yeah, there's another anti-ghost armor one too. I don't really like it as much. I think the night armor does more. And I believe Doodle Bob also has his own armor. So that's the one cool thing about the dual bandit is he starts with basically a better pencil and a better armor, but obviously he's kind of a pay to win class. So keep that in mind. Same thing with the mercenary, kind of a pay to win type class there. But they are going to really help you out with combat, which is probably the hardest part of this game. Which brings me to my next one, guys. This is called the ketchup blaster. You can find these in chests, and I believe there's also one of the classes will start out with them. There's one problem with these, and that is the armor is ridiculously hard to find. This ketchup ammo, ridiculously hard to find. So you need to use your ketchup blaster sparingly. And I will say the hardest area in the game is the final area, and this one is the SpongeBob rescuing area. It's ridiculously hard, so I would recommend saving everything you can for this one. It's basically a giant maze, and it gets pretty crazy. All right, it's not impossible, but if you are soloing, it's gonna be really, really hard. You guys can kind of see I'm almost clapped out, but you know, you just got to get the quest, you got to get the key while your other enemy distracts them, and you guys can see my man Lewis is distracting the enemies while I get the heck out of there on like 1 HP. All right, that brings me on to my next tip, guys. The speed bear, the normal version, isn't going to instantly kill you. And the thing is, if you have multiplayers, he's only going to chase one player at a time. So keep that in mind. However, the enraged sea bear, it'll send you like a message down here. It's like, oh, the enraged sea bear has spawned. He basically insta kills you. So be very careful. So here's an example, guys. You can see everyone has a pattern. You see there's his attack pattern, and then he waits a little bit. So what you got to do is you got to wait till after the attack, and then you can hit them, and then you got to get the heck out of dodge. This is a random tip, but apparently if you're dead, you might be able to open up the chest. I don't know if they patched the bug, but you guys can see here, I opened up the chest while I was dead. So like, even if you die, as long as you die near the chest, you can still help out your team. And that brings me on to my next tip. You can drag an item. All right. So for example, the key, but you can do that with any item in the game. So say, for example, you kill an enemy and your inventory is full, like here, you can drag an extra item. So effectively your inventory size is 5 + 1. All right, next up, guys, the compass and the treasure maps are very, very helpful. I recommend crafting them as soon as possible. They're not that hard to craft, and they're going to basically make the game so much easier. They tell you exactly where all the residents are. For example, over here, you guys can see it's pointing us to where Squidward is. All right, so here's Lewis and me taking out the Sandy boss. You can see he's distracting Sandy while I go grab this chest. I don't know if that was the right chest to grab, to be honest. I think you really just have to kill Sandy. But, you know, that was kind of the thought process was one person grabs the key and then the other person takes out the enemy. And usually you can do pretty well like that. Also, guys, some of these chests just drop absolutely trash. I still don't even know what the glove light does. I've never, like, needed to use it. So I don't really recommend. Some chests you just skip. They're just kind of trash. All right, it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can rewind it a little bit. But right over there is a police station. These have a 100% drop chance, from my experience, of dropping a spatula in the jail cell. So if you guys need the spatula item for, I think, more DPS or knockback, you guys can get them in the police stations, which are very easy to find. There's tons of them and tons of them on the map. Here's kind of an example of what my map looks like. You guys can see how many police stations are, and that's basically how many spatulas are in the game. So they're insanely easy to get. All right, also, guys, every time you rescue a resident, it's going to increase your day counter. So that means at the end, I was getting like 9 days per day. So that's how you get the crazy number days. You're not actually surviving for 152 nights. Every night at the end counts as like 9 nights. And it gets a lot easier to survive. However, it's also going to be a lot harder to survive because your base is basically going to be raided tons and tons of times with crazy amounts of enemies. So it gets a little bit ridiculous. So keep that in mind. You guys can see I'm number 2. Lewis and I were on the same run, but I left early because I wanted to film other videos. But yeah, shout out to Lewis, man, as my duo partner. Yeah, guys, it took us 2 hours to rescue all 5 because we didn't realize about the Quickster pad being that OP. All right, so those are all my tips, guys, and that's my ultimate beginner's guide. Just play the game a few times. You're gonna get the hang of it. You'll get used to like the fighting and whatnot, and you'll be having a good time. So comment down below if you guys have any good tips for beginners, and don't forget to comment down below your Roblox username and like the video to enter in the Game Pass giveaway of the Dennis bundle. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.